Sam is back from OH. Okay, he's supposed to reply with IO, but whatever. Almost Agreement at gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. I humor myself, at least. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Go to your favorite web podcast provider where you can get us there. Like, friend, share. Text us to your friends. Do what you can do to share the show with the people around you, and let them know how crazy we are. I did get word from my dad that my parents are traveling next week, and my mom intends on listening to the podcast. So, hi, Mom. I'm sorry. I love you, and I'm sorry. But anyway, almost agree to go to the website, check out what we got going on there. And a normal-ish week back in the grind here in Knoxville, Knox County, and Tennessee news in general. So we'll chat about some of that stuff, as well as interstates and my wife and I's ingeniously evil plan for the future of the Gay Street Bridge. So we'll see what happens, and we'll talk about it. All right, here we go. Hi, buddy.
Hey.
OH.
I-O.
Okay. There's a comedian who did a bit on it. He was basically said, he's like, they're so stupid at that Ohio State school that it takes two of them to spell the state that they're in. Just walk in anywhere and you go, OH, and somebody will help, what's the rest of it? I-O, and they help you finish it.
Right. I forgot that was their slogan.
Not that great of a, whatever. So, safe trip to and from the Great White North in the Ohio Lake Erie Valley area, whatever they call that up there. And we were chatting before we got on, and I always thought, like, it's one of those things that I didn't know what it was when I saw it, but now that I've learned more about civics and infrastructure and stuff like that, I think it's a neat thing. So if you're going up into Ohio anywhere from here in Knoxville, you take 75 north through Lexington, and you hit Lexington and you get bored out of your mind because it's, you're out of the mountains, it's bored and nothingness, and you get into Covington, Kentucky, which is the Kentucky side of the city of Cincinnati, basically. And then you cross the river, which it's a nice looking bridge, right? I'm pretty sure it's a cool looking bridge. It's got some flavor.
They've redone it.
It's like a big arch.
It used to be
it's a big dual arch with like hanging suspension, right? Or is it a big trestle bridge? Anyway, it doesn't matter. You go across that bridge, and that's when you hit the 71-75 split. 75 keeps going like straight north, and it'll get you into Indiana, Indianapolis.
Detroit,
that whole thing. That's where all the drug dealers come to Knoxville from, right down through where we're talking about. Or if you want to go to Columbus and then up into northeastern Ohio, Cleveland, Pennsylvania, whatever, you take 71 in the split right there. But the way that split works is one of the trends in urban interstate builds, and I didn't realize that Cincinnati was one of the first cities to do it. Boston has since done it. A couple other cities have, and that's where that stretch of 71 through downtown is below ground level. And so, like, once you get off and you get on there, you're down, and there's walls on either side of the interstate, and there's overpasses and stuff like that. But the overpasses are at city street level. So from the city streets, if you're doing stuff, you don't have this raised interstate running through like we do here and kind of stuff like that. And some cities, I can't remember, like Boston, like I said, Boston did it. They call that the Great Dig Project. They did that in the new whatever bridge that they put up was part of that whole thing. But most of the whatever interstate that runs through Boston proper is now below street level. And so so they have these overpasses that are just, it's like Main Street, or in our case, it'd be like Gay Street going over. It would go over it, but it doesn't feel like an overpass because it's ground level from your perspective on that road. And then some of them are like super wide, and they have like shopping centers that are part of the overpass. I don't know if they have them in Cincinnati, but other cities have done stuff like that too. It's a little bit more expensive, but as far as for like the city landscape and stuff like that, it seems to be a pretty cool solution, and I like that. And I think it's kind of a way to undo the redlining thing that we did when we built the interstates in the first place. Knoxville's got a pretty clear history of like we kicked people and bought people under value out of their houses in the poor neighborhoods, and that's where we run it. And then we put the worst of what was left over on one side, and then the nice neighborhoods on the other side, kind of thing.
Yep.
And so that the under street level interstate systems tend to try to unring that bell a little bit to make these communities more connected. Instead of the interstate being a divide, it's just kind of it actually ends up feeling like open space because there's no buildings popping up. And so you just kind of have this nice open space in the middle of the city instead of it being an interstate that's usually raised interstate like we have here. I think it's a neat thing. I would like to see that, with the pace that TDOT likes to do things, maybe before I die. Maybe started before I die, certainly not finished.
Maybe we'll convince them with the new paid lanes or choice lanes.
Maybe the private guys will do it because it's more expensive. The private guys won't do it for that reason. But on infrastructure news, I have the plan for the Gay Street Bridge. I can't take full credit. The wife and I work together. Probably more her idea than mine. Is keep the Gay Street Bridge, keep it a walking bridge, but turn it into. You've been out of Charleston, South Carolina at all in the last whatever?
No.
A number of municipalities have done something like this, and so Charleston is famous for what used to be the slave trade building. Like it's still that fucking building sitting there in the middle of downtown Charleston. They turned it into just it's like a semi-open air market. Like it's solid. It's a building that stands and stuff like that. But there are it's just archways on the walls are just archways. There's no solid walls on the outside. And so it is a continuous, not farmer's market, but craft market all the time. So it's set up in all these little booths and different people come in and out different days and stuff like that. And so it's like this destination, especially touristy shopping thing because it's all knick-knacky, crafty stuff like, palmetto tree stickers and anything with a palmetto tree on it. What did we get? One of the kids got, so the youngest got the missus because we have kind of a salt and pepper shaker collection. He got her this blue crab, or it's this crab that's holding salt and pepper shakers as a thing for mom, which I thought was genius from the kid's perspective. But stuff like that, it's not like, you don't have a fucking Forever 21 or, Spencer's Gifts in it. It's more local crafty stuff. So take the Gay Street Bridge and do it with get a series of containers of 40-foot containers, and then retrofit them into three. Like a 3 or 4 unit, 3 or 4 stalls thing, and then you set them down on the Gay Street Bridge on either side, so you can walk down the middle of it. Maybe put a shade or a rain cover sort of thing on it, so it turns the Gay Street Bridge into a walking craft shopping thing all the time. But you do it in the container thing, and so that on events like we're bringing back Boomsday. You go get the specialized container lift, and you go pick up these containers and go set them in a parking lot downtown somewhere. And now you can use the Gay Street Bridge for the fireworks again, or some open air concert you wanted to do on it. So it would be a convertible version of what Charleston has in the Slave Market building. I can't remember it's called something cooler than the Slave Market now, but that's what it was. And instead of tearing that piece of history and that historical building down, they had a crazy idea to turn it into something that is, it keeps some of the legacy of, and some of the history that's important to remember alive, but it also brings it into something that people want to use and be a part of, instead of just some dark piece of history that we shove over there and don't think about again.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a cool way to do it. And what I really, really, really want is I want to put because that's apparently the thing you do and stuff like this. The Charleston one doesn't have it. Pittsburgh does Pittsburgh's Oktoberfest. They have one of the bridges that they shut down and do a festival on that bridge. And when they shut it down and do a festival on the bridge, they bring a Ferris wheel out. You got the London Eye. You have all these municipal around the world. The Ferris wheels are the big cool thing to be a signature piece for some reason in places like that. I want to do a Ferris wheel, but instead of it being on top of the roadway, it'd be off the side. And so it would actually go down below the deck level of the street and come back up. And so you load in at the halfway point on either side, instead of loading in on the bottom.
I think Chattanooga's got a bridge I think it's just pedestrian. I don't know if it was.
I think it used to be a train bridge, but yes.
Yeah, I don't think it was intended to be that way, but it is now.
And I believe it was something not dissimilar to what has happened with the Gay Street Bridge. It was in disrepair. It wasn't getting used. And it was to the point where they probably needed to tear it down because it certainly couldn't use for its purpose anymore. But vehicle traffic and human traffic. Now, there's a question, and we'd have to talk to the engineers about the weight of both my Ferris wheel idea as well as however many containers or whatever. And
I was thinking just the containers alone and having that many people out there.
Right. And so it'd have to be something the engineers would have to look at. But I don't know. And I don't know, city just agreed to spend another $500,000 on some other person to do a traffic study. Because what they're trying to do, what the city is trying to do is justify to some sort of federal infrastructure grant thing, some bureaucrats in D.C., they're trying to justify the expense that they're going to ask for to build whatever replacement eventually that we're going to have to replace the Gay Street Bridge with. And at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure most of the city officials who look into and deal with this kind of stuff, they know that there aren't a lot of grants or federal or even there might be a state might get on board a little bit, but there's not a lot of federal things for the use infrastructure part of it. They're going to sign off on this because the Gay Street Bridge, when it was open, even before they opened even before the South Knox Bridge over on James White Parkway was open, Gay Street Bridge did not get a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
It's never been a highly trafficked bridge because it's dumb. Like, it's just a dumb, no offense, Knoxville, you didn't mean to do this. That bridge has been there since 18-something. But that's not true. It's like 1914, something like that. It's a little over 100 years. Anyway, it's not like it's in it terminates illogically. Because as soon as it gets across the river, it tees off to a left-right. And there's not a lot to the left. And then the right goes right into the traffic that the other bridge is handling.
Right.
So it's not like you get anywhere quicker or faster. Like, yes, if you happen to be coming from like the Civic or the First Tennessee building or something like that, and you're already on Gay Street downtown, it's easy to get across the river there, but then you're immediately trying to work your way into Chapman Highway traffic if you're wanting to go further south, or you have to kind of wind your way down through Sevier Avenue to get onto James White Parkway to then tee off on, Moody?
Yeah.
Where James White Parkway just ends. Or James White. I always get those backwards. I always mix those up in my head. So instead of trying to build a new car bridge, I feel like something that's more of what they call a piece of civic furniture. If we want to keep it, I feel like that's got it. It's more likely to happen, I think, just functionally speaking, with the way the funding would have to go to do it and stuff like that. Because then, if you do it as some sort of fair thing, it has some sustainability in its own income process. Like, all the booths, rentals, and stuff like that can go into the upkeep and maintenance. And so it won't be a full negative on the city budget. And again, it's like, no matter how you slice it, it's not going to get a lot of use as a car bridge.
Right.
So that's my outside the box thinking. I'm going to pitch that to Lauren Ryder and see if she'll pick that up and carry it to the mayor's office for me on her way out, because she's only got about a month left before she is retired from civic life. And then I'm also got another project I want her to start right before she quits. Not really. It's we talked a little bit about last week, 2 weeks ago, that Luke Bryant concert's kind of messing with my schedule because the city special events they just can't handle the volume of having anything going on at UT, or anything going on in Nayland specifically, and any other civic event that uses any of the public resources required to put on a civic event.
Right.
And so I think part of that, I think there's some of that to me is because they oblige certain things for health and safety, which I don't disagree with, but they, at least currently, you're obliged to hire KPD for security. You're obliged to hire KFD for your EMS service. Well, we have private security companies that could do some of the security stuff. We have private ambulatory companies that could hire Premier Ambulance or Rural Metro to come out. And I'm not wanting to have the EMT so I can be cheap, but I could hire a third party to do it. But that's not an option because of the way the ordinances are written from back when they started this stuff, which, there's the scammy version of how I think these ordinances were started as a way to try to get that extra income into the city for these little bits and bobs that they do. That's the more schemy version, or the more natural version where there wasn't a lot of options out there, so they didn't think to put, you can hire us, or, they didn't think to have a list of preferred vendors, if you want to call them that. You can use us or you can use these people. It's up to you, whatever you want. You just have to have an EMS on site.
Right.
Like we still use the fire department. The fire marshal still comes out and does his job, but that's all beforehand. That's something, fire marshal can come inspect my thing and then go inspect somebody else's events on the same day or 2 days apart. because they're not involved in event day. You know, if you're having an event this weekend and I'm having an event this weekend, fire marshal's already been to both of our places before this weekend.
Right.
So anyway, that's something that I was going to pitch at her, because I think the reality is, and I don't mean this negatively. I respect it in historical principle or whatever, but I think the reality is that it's been, that the original set of special events ordinances were written, and then they've been picked and poked and adjusted and changed a little bit here and there, and so it's just turned into this big hodgepodge. So it's like, hey, how about we just start over with a fresh one and make it a little bit more streamlined and maybe a little bit easier for both promoters as well as the city to handle these events. But, to be fair to Lauren, she's probably going to be like, yeah.
Good luck.
I don't know. She might, she might pitch it. Because, realistically, at the end of the day, if she wasn't on the end of her term, it would be, okay, she'll go and have a conversation with some people in the mayor's office and see how the mayor feels about it. And then it'll be that same thing we did where we all work on parts and pieces and try to get everything kind of into a finalized form leading into it. For American Cannon, it should be an easy win, and she needs some. She needs some easy wins bad. She's been on a losing streak. We'll find out officially in a week and a half if her other big project is a loser, which it feels like it's going to be. Although that has been a topic of discussion. Backroom Knox specifically, because it crawled up his ass and he's really excited about it. Did a deep dive into, there's some weird finance rules on if you're a single issue committee versus being a PAC or a single issue campaign committee, I think is what the title is what the pro tax increase group, they're designated as whatever, the single issue whatever, and they have to basically report like a candidate. So the same deadlines the candidates have for their incoming and outgoing expenditures, they have to report, and it's on record, and you can dig through it. And so some notable names, Randy Boyd put a bunch of money into it. Some of the big developers are putting a bunch of money into it, which does beg the question, why would they want that? Why would they want to support that? Legitimately? You got any guesses? Any ideas?
Nothing that really sticks out that would be obvious.
So I'm not sure why, they would want... Why they would want to, and so because that's right. One of it, some of the developers make sense because they will be the ones that are going to be putting the bids in on some of the construction projects that are going to go along with that. Being the park updates, the renovations of some of the community centers that are on the list of things they want to do.
Right.
The affordable housing expenditures that the city is promising to make currently, plus the new amount of funding goes into that thing. Somebody builds them, somebody designs them, so the people that are in that trade, I could see that as a net positive for them, which is also kind of weird because a bunch of the list of people that are donating to it are also pretty well known as Republicans in the county and donate regularly to Republican candidates all the time, where the Knox County Republican Party has built a PAC by definition, which means they don't have to tell anybody anything about how and where and what they're doing with their money, is on the other side of it. And so, I really, just for curiosity's sake, I would love to see if Randy Boyd money that he gave to the Republican Party is being spent on a PAC that's going against a single issue item that Randy Boyd has spent money on to get passed.
He may just donate to campaigns specific.
Right. I don't know. Again, but the PAC is the PAC, and so the party can donate to the PAC and doesn't have to tell anybody or show anybody.
Right.
And so I would assume that Randy Boyd has donated to the Republican Party in Knox County, and I would assume that the Republican Party in Knox County has put some amount of its own money into this PAC, and then collected more money elsewhere from other people and stuff like that, kind of around this issue. But they're basically setting this PAC up to reserve the right to use it in other places for other things, and that's why it's a PAC and not a single issue committee. Which is, whatever. That's a whole can of worms in the campaign finance conversation. But it's interesting if you look at who's donating to it, where you have the Arlie Bentley Marlowe, Knoxvillians Against Tax Increases or something like that. His little subgroup is more, $20, $50, $100 here and there from a bunch of different people, and that's how they've raised want to say it's like 20,000 somewhere in there, where the Pro pack is in the solid six figures. Like it was, what did they say? 120,000 maybe, something like that. I mean, they're out there pushing it. Like I've seen a bunch of ads, whether it's TV ad or paid ads in my Facebook feed that have been on it about it, and it's the city trying to, explain why they think it's a good idea. And I don't know. I don't know. Like I resent it on principle. It's a tax, and I'm probably not going to like it. Yes, 100%. It's a regressive tax, so my progressive friends don't like it because the poorest among us are the ones that are most negatively affected by it. Just because all sales tax technically is a regressive tax.
Right.
I'm not a city voter, so I don't have to vote on it. But I think the bottom line for me is my knee-jerk reaction to no tax is a good tax, and it's not a need. It's not a need for anything. This isn't something that these projects theoretically are going to get done anyway. It's just they're going to get done 5 years from now instead of 2 years from now. And so then realistically, it's like, okay, well, all these projects that are 5 years off, if they get done in 2 years, including the projects that are supposed to be getting done, so basically the next 5 years of projects all gets done in 2 years. Well, then we have 3 years of nothing. What are we going to do with all that extra money then? Do we need it then? Or is it just we're going to stockpile that, or we're going to find excuses to spend it because we have it? And I would think the latter is the most likely option. That'll be right at the end of Kincannon's term, if not into the beginning of the newest mayor's term, and they would theoretically have this significant influx in spending capability upon their arrival.
Do you think this would stave off any raising of property taxes?
I mean,
they're going to have to do with property taxes eventually, but I don't know if this would hold it off for another 5 or 10 years.
You can make the argument, I guess, that and like I would certainly think that the next mayor's campaign is going to include something along the lines of, if this were to pass, a campaigning mayor may say, before we get to the conversation about raising property tax, I don't think it's going to be needed. We've got that raise in sales tax that is doing more than enough. We don't need to. I don't foresee us using it as a campaign point. I could see certainly happening if it passes. I'm more interested in if the amount of money and energy that both the city, current government, and current administration, as well as this large, very well funded campaign pro-tax fails. Like, I don't know what that says about the systematics of the issue. It's like the money and the marketing failed. Because I think, to me, it's a neutral issue, like on the base of, on its face value. In and of itself, I feel like it's kind of neutral. Like, I think if you market, whoever markets it best would be likely to win it, realistically, because if you're on the pro side, the good marketing is, look at all these projects we want to do, more money for affordable housing, and when you get right down to it, mathematically, you city residents who voted for me are only going to be paying 50% of this $47 million of new income we're going to have. I don't know what the exact number is. It's probably technically less than that, because people like me who live in Knox County will be paying it. People like you who live in Anderson County will be paying into it. The curious people from all over the country, because of the Visit Knoxville's new slogan of Curiosity Welcome or whatever it is, those people will be paying this tax to help offset it. So it's not going to all hit. The $47 million estimated is not going to hit the 180,000 people in Knoxville exclusively. It's going to spread out amongst, internationally, because we host international events all the time in the city of Knoxville. That's why we have the Curiosity Welcome thing that goes out to tourism bureaus all over the place. And so, but if I'm going to bet on it, I'm going to bet it fails. In the first day of early voting was Wednesday this week. In District 3, I think it was, that I was looking at, it has almost doubled day one in total votes at one of the early voting locations. I can't remember which one it was. Probably maybe Downtown West. It went from like 480, 500 to 950 or so. And so the question is that people, because the tax thing wasn't on the primary, And so is a percentage of that new influx people coming out to vote for or against the tax increase. I feel like the bigger that number is, the more likely it's people coming out against. And then there's the fun question of, well, now then what does that do to the candidates? Does that potentially change some of the... That's Eric's bet right now. Eric Weider's bet right now is that people coming out to vote against the tax are then going to vote for his candidates because his candidates would be the anti-tax candidates because they're more right-leaning candidates.
Right.
That's his bet. Now, the one thing we know is most voters are undereducated, so who knows if they'll put those two things together. They don't get the benefit of an R or D after the name to help them make that decision when they're in the ballot box. So, we'll see. I mean, I still think District 3, it will be Lloyd Electrical Service. We were talking about that last week. I couldn't remember. It's like one of the electrician guys. His name's all over the place on all his trucks around town.
Okay.
It's Lloyd Electrical Service. I think that guy's going to win District 3, and he is definitely a Republican in nature, where his Democratic opponent is the Amosor guy. So, but early voting continues. The Knox Expo Center will come online in early voting this week. They were closed for an event. The early voting location at the Expo Center was not available this past week because they had an event, but it will now be open starting Monday. It's normally an early voting location.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it always is. It's just somebody, I don't know. I don't know what the agreement is with the Election Commission and the Knox Expo Center. I guess it's city property. I don't know. I never really thought about who owns that building. I'm thinking it's city property. And so, and I agree. A paying gig is worth more than a freebie. If you're the management of the Expo Center, it's likely owned by the city, but it's run by one of those third-party management groups that does a bunch of the different stuff like that around the city.
Right.
And their priority is to get paying events going on in there, not free stuff. So, anyway, that's about it. This is not a big week. There's just some. Still not quite sure. Like it's been a big hoopla locally because I guess this guy is semi-local. He's from Tennessee. He's in Tennessee. Alejandro Lozano. You ever heard of that story?
No.
He's a immigration activist. I think he's Mexican American. I don't mean to be judgy by it. I don't recall what his nation of origin is. But he got picked up this week, and there's a local connection to it. So there's a big stink on the local side of that conversation.
I did see that headline, yeah.
And so it's kind of like one of those, it's one of the worst of the worst. I think there's a lot of bad going on in the ICE system and stuff like that. But this is the gross ass one where he was going to an immigration hearing because he is obliged to go to the immigration hearing to work on his status, and they picked him up at the hearing. So,
okay.
It's like, hey, come to this, we got this asylum hearing or whatever. Here's the date. Come back when it happens. Okay, cool. And then I'm here for my hearing. You're under arrest and gone.
I read the story. I know he was some kind of activist.
Yeah, and it's hard to
and supporting.
I don't know. It's hard to imagine that he didn't have a little bit bigger of a target because he's an activist and he's out there vocal about the bullshit that's going on and blah blah blah. But at the same time, he's out there. He's an activist. He's probably a little easier to find.
Yeah.
Which I guess kind of begs the question on why you do it this way, why you wait for the hearing, why don't you just go pick him up? Apparently he has a DUI and a meth possession.
Damn.
That he was on probation for. No, he was already off probation. He had paid the fines and court fees and whatever and served out his probation already. But he had that on his record, but it's old, and so...
Or they didn't take him out then and there unless he had some kind of student visa or...
I don't know when that was. Right. I mean, it was long enough ago that he'd worked through his probation already, so...
Right.
Don't know. But yeah, I thought that was a strange little ism to it. And so that's the ICE agents trying to be like, we told you we're getting rid of the worst of the worst. They might have been related charges too. It might have been a DUI because he was under the influence of meth.
Possibly, yeah.
So it might have been a single event that brought that charge. It's like, oh, we're just kicking out some meth head. It's a little bit simplified, friend, but okay. So anyway, I don't know what's going on with that. I don't really know a lot about it. We've got a No Kings March #2 today for everybody listening. should be listening to this while you're at the No Kings protest. I don't know where they're meeting up and marching.
They're doing one in Knoxville.
Yeah. I assume so. That's the locals are chatting it up. Some report on I don't know. Like somebody was like, I got good intel that says that like ICE is going to put some guys out there to start picking fights. So if you see violence happening, don't jump in. Stay out of the way. Make sure that the people that are instigating are the ones that get in trouble, not you. Which is probably wise advice. Period. But you know. So if some group over there starts throwing rocks, don't join in or you're going to jail too.
Right.
You know, seems a little pretty straightforward, but you know, in the heat of the moment, people get carried away. Things can happen.
I think it did say the Texas governor was going to send National Guard to help kind of patrol any No Kings protests.
I don't know. I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't get how we got here. Like, I don't get how we got here to where any sizable protest is immediately treated as a potential riot. Basically, that's kind of how. Usually, like it's a protest that gets riotous, and then the National Guard comes in, or then the extra police and whatever come in to shut it down. It's usually not. Oh, hey, there's an organized public speaking session. Let's bring in the National Guard. No, it's you like.
I don't know if it's to take pressure off of like local law enforcement to where they're not having to be...
And there's the question is that did local law enforcement request extra help just to be sure?
Right.
You know, I don't know. The last one that went on here, the last one that went on here seemed to go pretty well. Like people stayed out of the street. They were just on the sidewalks holding their signs, honking horns and all that kind of crap.
I don't remember seeing anything about it. I know that it went and happened.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like
Bad that happened,
you know,
right.
There was no reporting on any like violence or anything that spilled out into this, that, and the other. So
excessive yelling.
Yeah, noise complaints from the neighbors. It's 2:00 on a Saturday afternoon, and it's quieter than when we have a home games. What are you talking about?
Right.
But you know, UT's special, so they don't count as the same. To be honest, if we're fair. They have some meeting coming up this week where they're buying more land in Knoxville, everybody.
Oh, goody.
Over there on, what is it? You know where Safety City is? They already own one of the buildings over there by Safety City. The Cherokee Mills neighborhood.
Okay.
They're looking to bring more land into the university over there. So the concrete plant, there's a concrete plant down there.
Right.
And like a bricklayer's office. I don't know what you call it, or not office, but like a brickyard. And Young Williams is over there.
And one of the facilities is right there along that bridge, close to the concrete place.
Yeah. Well, they have the right. Well, the softball field's over there, right in there too.
I think so.
And then right over there, in and around the softball field area, is one of the facilities, like engineering. That's where they park a bunch of their trucks, and they have their tools and machinery for the maintenance, the university maintenance staff building over there. But yeah, anyway, they're looking to add more buildings, so get your company town tickets ready, people. Start spending your vol bucks on your rent instead of paying real money and having.
It's close to there. I was reading they're going to try to expand the Greenway.
Yeah, which is it's kind of neat, but it's kind of crazy. Again, it involves the railroad, so it's a whole different ball of wax because they're trying to basically tunnel under a section of railroad tracks over there, so that you can go straight into the fort from Tyson Park.
Yeah.
$9 million, and it's like a quarter mile.
Damn.
But they're building a multi-track train bridge as part of the process. Because there's more than one track that runs right there that they're trying to get past. And to build the tunnel to go underneath it, you essentially are building a train bridge just down instead of up.
Yeah.
And so I would think that even though it's only 15 feet wide or whatever it is, it's not going to be like, traffic big underneath there. with engineering costs and stuff like that, it wouldn't surprise me that the bridge, the railroad bridge coverage part to handle the weight and all that crap, that's probably like $5 or $6 million of that.
Probably.
Yeah.
Last deal.
But it's the same. I mean, it's the same entity that looks at $1 million a mile for sidewalk. So, what do you got to assume it's cost that much. But I mean, there's a lot of upside to it if you want to get down to, like, if you want to follow the Greenway maps and access to different parts of town through it. Like, as of right now, you have to cross Kingston Pike, Cumberland Avenue. I guess you can go under that tunnel on the creek there in Tyson to get over to the rugby field. And then that Greenway continues around that section of Ag Campus over there.
By the, what is it, Flower? I'm trying to think of the name for it. UT
University.
Gardens.
Yeah, the Botanical Gardens, yeah. Well, no, it's weird because it's on the backside, but yes. It goes, I haven't gone all the, I've gone pretty far down it, but not all the way down it. So, like, you go down there and it's between University Commons and the rugby field that's right there at the Alcoa Highway exit to get on.
Right.
And so you go around the fields and then it curves back in, goes all around behind, and the creek still goes in there. It's a neat little weird spot, and then it pops out on like the backside of the Ag Campus before that causeway that goes on to main campus over the train tracks is over there. But anyway, that Greenway terminates somewhere in back there. It doesn't actually get back out to anything officially. And so to stay on the Greenway by the Greenway map, you have to come out of Tyson Park and go either onto Nayland Drive and go along the riverfront on Nayland, basically, or you can go under the train bridge and back up into the fort to get to other stuff over that way. So this would make it a more direct access if you're trying to stay north of Cumberland. But there's a lot of little bit stuff. Anybody that lives in the fort that wants to get over to Tyson Park without having to go down to the Strip, that would be a walking access to it. And then, to me, like, it's a game day win because people park at Tyson Park. You got to pay for parking in Tyson Park. People park all over the way over there in Safety City and all up Sutherland, sure, and hike their happy asses all the way to the stadium, which they'll still do anyway. But you can cut through into the fort from there instead of having to go and walk down the Strip the whole time, if you wanna. Maybe there's a business for some golf cart.
Suppose some rickshaws or something.
I still think my floating pedal pub is the solution of all solutions for game day traffic.
Nashville's got a couple. I want to say they got in trouble and it was like some weird regulations. I don't know if they had people that were running into it or if they had too much public intoxication.
Right, like any good city ordinance, if there's no rule on it, the answer's no. Because I pitched it at somebody, and they're like, I see what you're getting at. There's nothing on the books about that. We'd have to look into basically kind of like trying to squeeze in some applications on some existing stuff. Because like there's like a boat ferry's legal.
It'd be weird with it being on campus, with it being a dry campus.
It's not a dry campus.
UT?
It's not a dry campus.
Yeah, it is.
They sell alcohol in the stadium.
Right. They had to get an exception to sell it there.
It's also still not
outside
a dry
of
campus.
business.
Well, one, you're not on campus. You never actually make it on campus. The only way that's
if you're taking people to the stadium, you're on campus.
No, because you put them down there on the over there by Chop House or whatever. Not Chop House. Ruth Chris. And that dock set over there.
Yeah.
That's where you drop them off at. That's city property. Which public intox is also legal, but whatever.
Right.
But I don't know. Like, I mean, if a pedal pub is legal in the state, it could be made legal. You can drink in a vehicle. I mean, like, you have party buses. Nashville's another example. You have all those party buses, or you have like limos where you're allowed to, like, you can, if the driver has the chauffeur's license or whatever, you could serve in the back of your bus or limo.
Right.
I don't think you can serve, but your passengers can consume while in transit. And that would be the same kind of legal argument for what I'm setting up. Although they are also the motor, technically.
Yeah, so are they driving? I guess they just can't steer. They can pedal, but they can't steer.
They can't steer. And there will certainly be some sort of mechanism in there that if I say stop pedaling and they keep pedaling, that I can, disconnect the cable or something like that so that the propeller stops even if they keep pedaling because they're not listening.
Right.
The brakes will still work whether they keep pedaling or not. It's the moral of the story here. So I don't know. It'd be a fun one to do if I had the time and energy and a good mechanic shop to build the rig for me just to test the theory.
I think you do it better around downtown because if you start getting on the strip, that's a big hill.
No, I'm not. I'm talking my floating pedal pub. We're going across the river.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, screw that noise. I ain't trying to do it on any.
Sorry, I was thinking you were trying to do like the street kind of pedal car.
When we get the Gay Street Bridge back open, and it's open to bikes and pedestrians, if I can technically fall under the bike category with that, you could pedal pub from across. Like you could set up over there in the by the Kabbalah, the Shriners Kabbalah Temple,
right?
And that could be the collection point where you can jump on and we can ride over to the stadium. Maybe not to the stadium, but we can ride over to, I don't know where you'd go. I think that maybe I'll make that a baseball one where we go from the Shriners Temple down to the baseball stadium because everywhere else in there's too many hills.
Yeah.
Like you take the left onto Cumberland from Gay Street. I mean, you're all right. You get down there in front of the, on the way to there's a way to do it, I guess. On the way to wouldn't be too bad until you get past World's Fair, because World's Fair, you're going downhill into the World's Fair section of it. And then it goes back uphill to get to Stadium Drive. But there's no way on the street that we'd be trying to, we wouldn't be going fast no matter how you slice it. We'd have that thing in first gear. We'd have to get some, proper Shimano gearing on that thing where you're pedaling super fast, but the drive wheels are only turning a little bit at a time. But yeah, we could engineer it. It's doable. But I'm not thinking of the wheel version. I'm thinking of the floating one where.
Gotcha.
Where really I just got like a fishing, one of those little fishing boat motors.
Little trolling motor.
Yeah, a little troller motor that I have it. I really have that attached, and that's probably what's going to do all the actual work. But I tell them to pedal just to pretend.
You guys are doing a great job.
Get in there and pedal. We just play Rocky Top really loud. They're not going to hear the little motor run.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. The stadium, all the crowd, everybody's cheering, drinking beer. They don't care about. It's not the reality is not the important part. It's the feeling and the illusion that people have. So vote for me for mayor so that I can install. I mean, I do think there is a way. There is some lost opportunity with using the river more for stuff. Because like right now, like if we're talking game day specifically, I mean, the Vol Navy's cool. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a cool tradition that we have, but that's it. Like the people with the boats and however the Vol Navy works and however it is you get hooked up with the program on like who's allowed to tie up to Calhoun's down there and you just tie up to the person next to you. Don't know exactly how that works as far as what's the structure in place. Who do you have to talk to? Do you have to pay a fee? I don't know how all that works, but other than Vol Navy, and I guess Red Bull did that thing at one of the games where they had the greasy pole run thing where you run out on the greasy pole. But like other than that, like what goes on the river during game days?
Nothing.
The people with the Vol Navy pull up and tie off, and that's it. Like, why don't we have a water taxi? Like, for my friends down there on Sevier Avenue from whatever that park is, that nice new park they built down there. That's just past the Holston. Not just past. It's a little bit past Holston Gases.
They put that new apartment complex?
Yeah, there's an apartment complex down there, and they built a nice little park, and it's got like kayak launches and stuff like that in it.
Is there? Okay. Like, I was about to say, there's not that many landings per se,
right,
where you've got a parking lot to where people could leave their car
and
take it from point A to point B.
Over there does, and you can go over there. Like, I mean, again, screw my alcoholic version of it, and just make it hey, I got a boat, I got a pontoon boat, and I can seat 8. $5 a head, I'll float you over to the stadium.
Yeah.
And I'll be here post game as fast as I can get people back and forth. I mean, probably, I feel like you could make some pretty good fucking money. A water Uber. I mean,
a Uber.
I mean, so I don't know. I mean, you'd have to go and figure it out, and people that know boats and stuff better would understand it. But it's like, how long would it take to make that trip? And if you're doing $5 a head, 8 people a trip, That's $40 a river crossing.
So I say you'd almost need a little bit faster boat than a pontoon.
Yeah, but you could do you could start 4 hours before kickoff, do a boat. I mean, you're only getting one way each time. Technically, right. You might get some people wanting to go back, but for the most part, you're only going one way. But still, you run up till kickoff in 4 hours. I think 30 minutes would be probably average trip there and back. So 8 trips at $40 4 trips at $40 a trip. So it's $160 for 4 hours of work. Okay, that's not so great as I'm breaking it down. $5 might be a little cheap. But then you chill out, watch the game, do whatever, hang out while it's going on, and then do it again post-game. Probably get more trips in post-game because more people are trying to get out by any means necessary. People aren't as in a hurry to get out as they are to get in.
Right.
So you got a little bit more time. You could probably start in the third quarter, if people leaving the game early, and start doing your return trips, getting it going, and do, so in a pretty solid 8-hour day, $500-600 in income. You didn't spend that in gas.
Maybe. I don't know what kind of miles per gallon.
Nautical mileage.
Yeah, nautical mileage per gallon.
Nautical mileage you get out of those. I don't know. It's, again, I think you could do the math and you could make it a profitable enterprise. But you're right. A bigger, faster boat would probably be a better option. If you could have, and again, if this is a sole single use thing, that's all I'm doing it for, it makes it more expensive because I bought a boat and I have to do all the stuff to maintain and keep a boat for one particular thing. But if it's we've got that freaking weird little paddle boat thing that's down there, what does it do on game days? I think that one capacity is 100 people. Do that one for $500 a head and just go straight across the river because it's all the way down there on that end. $500 a crossing would be the income for them. Get that same 6-8 crossings a day. Pretty sure they're going to be making some money. And it'd be a fun way to get to and from the game. People like to talk about what they did and how they got there and all that kind of stuff. I think it would be a net good for a lot of people. Plus, it gets people out and over there faster, which takes cars off the street and walkers off the roadways and stuff like that, and gets people out of town a little quicker.
Yeah, it takes cars off the immediate vicinity, but
yeah,
you're still dropping people off to get in their car and try to get somewhere.
When I lived on the south side, on game days, once you get across the river, it chills out pretty quick. Once you get out a mile or so out of campus, it gets pretty regular pretty fast.
Yeah.
To or from the game. To the game, it usually never gets too crazy because it's psychopaths are there at 8 o'clock in the morning for a 4 o'clock kickoff. A certain percentage of people were there last night. There's a ton of people that actually sleep in their campers.
Right.
And stuff like that. So, I don't know. I just think it'd be a fun way to, a fun new way to do stuff, even if it doesn't have a really huge net positive on the overall issues that game days cause, but it'd just be a fun way to go about it. You got that new giant apartment complex that's right across the street from the stadium, and it's got its own dock.
I don't know if I've seen it.
Yeah, it's down on the river level. There's the 2 new big ones that are up there where Baptist Hospital was, but when you go west, so you cross Henley Street and go west, and it drops down because you go under that train bridge, which there's way too much traffic to have a single lane train underpass.
Right.
So there's literally a stoplight for which direction gets to go. That's all that stoplight does. It's not an intersection. It's just a who gets to go under the bridge right now stoplight. What you best said, there's another big apartment complex right there, and it's got a dock on it.
Oh, is it?
It'd be hey, why can't we I'll kick out a 50 cents a passenger if you let me use your dock for the day, running people back and forth. Figure out a number. It's negotiable. Figure it all out. Tenants ride the boat for free.
What?
Everybody else pays for it. So if they live in the apartment complex, I'll take them over there if they can prove they live here. 1 per apartment or two per apartment or whatever. But then anybody else that wants to use it, you have to let people come through your property to get on my boat. But I'll let the people that are part of your property get on my boat for free. I don't know.
So I want to say it's gated property.
Huh?
Could be wrong, but I think that's a gated property.
Probably is. But I'm just saying, there's things you could do. You could figure it out.
Yeah.
And then you could go a little bit further where you have one that goes down further down the river. There's, Like you could do one that goes up to like Island Home. Figure out a way to drop and land over there. It'd be a more expensive ticket, be a further trip. But you're right. Once you go, if you're going, especially if you're going west, if you're going downstream from downtown, there's not a lot of stuff to get on and off of. Like you go under Alcoa, like there's some private docks of like the Bleak House has a dock, and some of those like those really old nice houses that are right there.
Yeah,
some of those have private docks. And then the south side, some of those have private docks. But I don't think you have another public one until you get out to like Concord.
Probably.
Which still would be a thing. I mean, that hell yeah. I don't know. I'd have to figure out what the pricing would be, but that'd be pretty cool. Walk out the stadium, get on a boat, and just, it'd be a 45-minute boat ride. Probably. Maybe an hour.
I think people in like the Vol Navy would take advantage of that.
I'm not sure. I'll bet you that's where some of their boats come from. They're probably dropping in out there at Concord and Carl Cowan and all that set out there in Farragut. I'm sure that's a lot of them. They drop it there. Their truck and trailer sitting there in that parking lot all day.
I'd be curious how many of those people actually just have a house with a dock already.
Right, or they're in a marina,
right,
and the boat's already in the water. But either way, whatever. It'd be fun. I think it'd be a cool thing to do. I think we should take advantage of the fact that we have that river there and use it more for fun stuff.
Yeah.
Like running up greasy poles. I think that was a great thing. I wish I would have had if it wasn't on a game day, I might have made the effort. But I wasn't going to do, I didn't want to go deal with all that just to watch that part.
Right.
It sounds like a fun time. There's a couple of the Red Bull events that I think would be fun, and I think Knoxville could host very well. The weird little, the plane one or the glider one that they do.
Right.
That's a fun one. I think we could do that here in Knoxville, and it'd be fun. And then the bicycle one's probably my favorite. The bicycle over water one. Have you seen that one?
I don't think so.
Like it's like a bridge. They build this bridge, and it gets progressively thinner, and the surface gets different as you go down it. And so it's Red Bull craziness. You're supposed to take a bike. I think the one that I watched, it had to be a bicycle built for two, or there had to be two people on the bicycle. It didn't have to be a bicycle built for two, but you had to have a pilot and a passenger as part of the rules.
Right.
And then, people dress them up and make them look silly. There's a swan or whatever. But then you have to ride this bike on this bridge, basically, that's above the water that gets narrower. And then there's like bumpy sections and stuff like that. It's whoever can get the furthest down this thing on the bike. That's the winner of the crazy competition. And it's usually pretty funny.
It's supposed to have a pretty decent insurance policy for that.
I mean, all those, it's all liability,
Haven't making sign that waiver.
You got to sign that waiver kind of thing. Like, participants getting hurt are somewhat likely. It's, those type of things. The biggest liability when you put an event on that. Same thing with me in the Derby. The liability is not the dangerous thing that the competitors are doing. It's the dangerousness of getting whacked as a spectator. The spectators are the ones you're worried about as a promoter.
Yeah.
Which is the watching the Red Bull ones. The one, the Dale Jr. hosts the Red Bull Soapbox Derby. It's on Amazon right now. I watched a couple of them, and they're pretty cool. And they're pretty fun. They're all over the world. Like South Africa was one of the last ones I watched. But there's a couple of them where, one of the things I think that's I like what they do is they do fencing. They do what the city calls bike racks, what I call cattle gate.
Right.
That stands on its own, but they take the path, and they have cattle gate that runs the whole path, and then they have 2 or 3 hay bales stacked inside the cattle gate, so on the track side. So the cattle gate's to help support the hay, but it's also to keep the fans out off the track kind of thing.
Right.
But there was one I was watching, I don't remember where it was, but one of the obstacles was they just kind of had a little chicane or whatever.
Chicane, yeah.
And they had a cameraman set up on the inside of the chicane, and so the bike rack went down, there was a little gap, and then the hay bales went around where this cameraman was set up. One of the contestants in their design or whatever had some sort of plane kind of thing, and it had wings on it. And you see from another cameraman going up the trail, up the track, up the course, where this cameraman ducks just in time for the wing to go right over his head.
Wow.
And that same one, though, because all the hay bales are right against the bike rack, hay bale's only 18 inches thick. The wing was probably like 2 feet long on each side. So there's one section further down the track where you started seeing spectators trying to duck under this wing and going over their head. And the promoter, and having done a soapbox derby thing, it was not enjoyable. None of those were enjoyable watches for me, because all I'm doing is seeing, it's like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, because they're much more extreme with theirs, because they have ramps and all sorts of crazy stuff. Like one of the ones they did had like a big a big wall turn. Like we were going up and the rule was at least 3 of your 4 wheels had to get on the wall, or you were disqualified.
Huh.
And so these guys are going way up the wall to make sure that they don't get disqualified or ever flipping over on their heads.
There's some decent speed.
Yeah.
To do it. Yeah.
And then, but like all these ones, like I don't know, it's something about theirs. Like theirs are all like it like, and it's part of the fun. Don't get me wrong, but they all break. Like their whole point, the whole Red Bull race, their version of it. The point of the course is to break your car. Like we want to break your car. We don't want you to finish. That is the design of their courses. And so in doing so, they're very successful in it. But when you have all these things breaking and there's pieces and parts flying in the air, again, the promoter brain that has to buy the insurance in me is like, oh my God, somebody's going to get hit by flying debris. And some of the crazy stuff, like one of the rules we have is you are not allowed to drive forward facing. So you can't lie on your stomach and drive.
Okay, yeah.
You cannot build a car where you're designed to lie on your stomach and forward facing, because that's how you die.
Right.
That is not a rule for the Red Bull people. It was kind of a cool car design though, because the guy's laying on his stomach driving, and his co-driver is sitting on top of him. Basically, like he was like the meat of a platform sandwich. There were 2 platforms. He was lying on his stomach between them. He was steering. The guy sitting above him in a normal looking chair that looked like he was driving just had the brake pedal. And so they had that part separated. But it was kind of a neat design. Which you'd have to see it to get it, but it was a neat little. There were some pointers that I did take intel off of it. I did enjoy watching it for some of the neat ideas that they'd had and doing stuff.
Right.
But at the same time, I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, that's $1 million right there. Holy shit. But it's just, anyway, so I'm excited to get started. Like we're going to start doing some meetings on on finalizing some of the broad stroke plans before the end of the year for next year's race.
Right.
Which, as of right now, is probably going to be on May 9th, not on May 2nd as originally planned. Thank you, Luke Combs, you douchey country bastard. I don't care. I'm going to bother. We're going to try to get we got a couple of we're going to ask for some favors in return, and I'm going to try to get some VIP tickets to Luke Combs.
Get some what?
Some VIP tickets to the Luke Combs concert.
Ah.
That's not true either. I just want to get the promoter who bumped us to ask Luke Combs to politely tell his audience some point during the night, hey guys, just want to let you know, really appreciate the Happy Holler people for moving their event so we could do this tonight. It's got nothing going on next weekend. Go check it out. It'll be cool. That's what I'm...
Not going to happen.
You have no imagination or faith in me. It really hurts my feelings.
I mean, if he was a Knoxville boy and was, looking to promote Knoxville-related stuff, but...
Maybe he has a decent soul and he'll be like, yeah, that's kind of screw. That kind of sucks that we bumped him. Maybe I'll throw him a bone.
I doubt it. But I mean, go for it. But
I'm going to go for it.
I find it unlikely.
And when there's a YouTube video circulating of Luke Combs promoting my event, I'm going to tell you to suck it.
By all means.
And when there's not, we're probably going to forget, so it won't matter. So, Knox County Schools put some crap out about the kids are doing better. That's cool.
Did they?
Yeah. Like most markers, everything's up. 3rd grade reading still got some problems and stuff like that. But it kind of reads as we're back on track post-pandemic is really what it kind of reads as. Like all the numbers have been increasing back to where we were pre-pandemic.
Yeah. Which weren't the greatest levels.
Right. Anyway. But I think we're up from that too, but not a ton. But, we're right. Graduation rates are up. Algebra 1, I think, is one of the other tests, like one of the other metrics they like to use, and Algebra 1 grades are up.
Mm-hmm.
So, good job, Knox County School students. Way to go. Yeah. I give all credit to Ryan Dillingham for getting you to school on time.
Yeah. Did see the House Speaker is proposing doubling the number of vouchers next year.
I mean, I thought that was, yeah. I think the original was they were to go from 20 to 30. I think the original bill was written to add $10,000 a year until they stopped getting applications that exceeded what they had available.
Okay.
I think it was the original. If I recall correctly, that was the original bill.
I can't recall.
So
I know they built in some kind of increase, but
right.
And what kind of increase?
I thought it was a significant one. And I think it was like the first 3 years they were going to add $10,000 a year, and they were going to stay in that split of 50-50, where for under a certain income gap, over a certain income gap, or over a certain income level, and then after that 3-year period, they were going to continue going up $10,000 a year, but no income requirements or no income maximums for any.
Yeah.
So the only question I have in that is, but I think that was written in, is that if you had a voucher and asked for a voucher, you're going to get a voucher the next year. You have to ask every year, but like they're not going to bounce people who have vouchers on the next cycle.
For somebody that just applied.
Right, unless they opt out.
Right.
Somebody
did a breakdown of like zip codes of where the vouchers are coming from.
Knox County, man, we got them all.
Yeah.
We got the most.
Or they even they broke it down to like, I guess, Nashville and Knoxville. More of them went to like more affluent zip codes and whatnot.
Sure.
That was a suspicion, but someone actually verified that the majority of them did go to.
I would assume most of the set that was in the lower income requirement set were rural communities that had a private school. If a rural community that had a private school, those were probably maxed out. As many of those were gone, and those were the ones that went to under $150 or whatever it was, $1,000 per household.
I talked about some county that got like 3.
Yeah, probably because they don't have. I mean, there are multiple counties in the state that have 0 private schools in the county,
right?
And so, unless you're going to drive to the county over, which may or may not be problematic depending on where you are in your own county, you're not going to get. You're not going to have a private school option. But it's parents' choice, right? You get choices.
That's right.
If the choices exist, and if you have the right amount of money, and if Betsy Henderson wasn't an idiot and running for mayor that you shouldn't vote for. Told you, gloves are off with her. I give no fucks anymore. Like if that's how I will treat you like AOC treats Trump supporters if you vote for Betsy Henderson. I'm trying to think of an equivalent on that people would understand. I mean, it's Democrats in general. Like, if you weren't so stupid, you wouldn't have voted for Trump. And you want me to vote for you after you call me stupid? But, alas. The Venezuelan war is heating up. I'm going to national politics because I'm running out of local stuff. What do you got?
Keeping the Smokies open through October.
Way to go. Cherokee, Northern Band of the Cherokee Indians. You guys kick ass, take names. I love it. Oh, that's a lot. I didn't mean to play that much.
Sentencing date set for the sheriff's office narcotics chief that pled guilty to defrauding the sheriff's office.
Where? Here?
Yeah.
I thought that was KPD here.
No.
Apologies.
Get you some.
That was a lot. Pled guilty. Good. What's his? When's sentencing come? That's the one I want to hear.
I think February 2nd.
Excellent.
Pled guilty to conspiracy to commit federal program fraud. He is facing up to 5 years in prison and up to $250,000 in fines.
So I haven't got to read through it yet or read anybody's analysis of it yet. I'm sorry. I just totally gear shifted on you. I'll come back to that. I'm sorry. He could face up to what?
5 years and a $250,000 fine.
That's the top end?
I think so, yeah.
And how much money did he swindle?
I
want to say it was like getting on the $1 million range, right?
It says $138,000 worth of Apple products. There were also additional purchases of Yeti coolers, thermal imagers, security cameras, and tools that were purchased with official funds.
Yeah, so he's getting fined about what he spent. what it sounds like. Or he could get a maximum fine of what he stole.
Potentially, yeah.
I mean, that would be... That's not really punishment. I mean, the jail is punishment, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But, hey, you stole $100 from me. Give me my $100 back. I'm not punishing you. I'm making you give me my fucking money back.
At the very least.
You know.
There's got to be some kind of deterrent to it, but we'll see.
I'm saying, like, that doesn't feel like punishment if it's like, you know, you're right. I mean, he pled guilty. You're right. I owe you $250,000.
Right.
You caught me stealing that $250,000. Me giving you your money back isn't punishment.
Right.
That's just kind of...
City still spent some money doing this and, you know, adjudicating it.
So I don't get my money back because you had to pay money to argue about how much money you owe me back?
No, I'm saying I guess it's better that he pled guilty versus...
Oh, okay. Oh, see, he saved us a little money there. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, I apologize. I thought you were saying like he was claiming...
No, they've already had to spend money, you know, investigating this,
right.
I'm sure.
Right.
Apparently this happened...
Right. They. But I thought you said he had to spend some money. And it's like, well, I don't really give a shit if you had to spend some money trying to navigate the legals of what he did. We shouldn't have to discount him for that.
Actually, I wonder if the city had to float any of his defense up until a certain point.
I don't think so. I wouldn't think that the internal lawyers or KPD or the city of Knoxville or county, excuse me, I wouldn't think any of the internal legal team, once it gets past an internal look.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't think a county hired attorney. I'm trying to think. Maybe a better example would be like. No, that one wouldn't work.
Well, they would have to cover him to some point up until he wasn't an employee.
Well, no, I mean, like, okay, so if a cop shoots somebody and it's questionable, and there's an internal audit, or the internal affairs steps in and they look at the case, or in Tennessee's case, the TBI comes in and does an investigation of the officer involved shooting and determines that the officer was wrong in the shooting. I don't think a sheriff's department lawyer is going to represent the sheriff's officer in a criminal or a civil trial after the internal determination was made.
Probably, yeah.
Because at that point, you're not defending it's not a policy question anymore, and that's not. Yeah, I wouldn't think so. Could be wrong. If David Buick ever answered my phone calls. I haven't tried to call him in like 3 years, but if Mr. Buck and me were buddies and I could call him and ask him, I would call him and ask him right now.
Let's see. Apparently, lawmakers file suit against Tennessee governor over guard deployment.
Some Memphis.
That was filed in Davidson County.
Well, because it's against the governor.
That's true.
I mean, it could be. It's likely Memphis City Council and or some of the representatives in the state house from Memphis.
It's filed by Shelby County Mayor, Memphis City Councilman, county commissioners, a couple of state representatives, and a state senator.
One of the Justins, I'm sure, is on that list. I can't remember which one's from Memphis and which one's from Nashville. I don't.
Nah, it doesn't list him.
Well, he's running for senator?
I believe so, yeah.
He announced the federal run for
congressman.
Yeah. Because, he's going to primary the incumbent Democrat. That's right. Our 1/9 district in the state of Tennessee that is a Democrat in the federal house.
Doctor something.
So, how much was the average individual in the United States, in the colonies, do you remember how much the tax was when they lost their shit and threw tea in the harbor and that whole mess?
No.
I want to say it got to a collective 10% for all taxation on colonists at that time. And so in that time specifically too, you got
adding them all up because there was there was a stamp tax.
Yeah.
And they were going after the tea tax, I think, basically.
Right. The cumulative total tax total. Because one of the things that I didn't think about, and was the wife is on a podcast and she shared some stuff with me, and I think it's And, you know, the religiosity and the escaping religious persecution that were a lot of the colonists, a lot of people that came to the Americas to get out of that. They're still devout, some denominations, right? They still tithed. So they're already given 10% to the church. And this other 10%, so now we're getting to the 20% range. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so that was what was getting upsetting. It's because, well, I'm already giving 10% to the church, and God says I have to, so I can't take that one off the table. I can't pick a fight with him. But you're getting up to 10%. You know, and I think maybe even on a theological level, it's like, the king doesn't deserve more than God from me, right? God's more important than the king. He should make more money off me, right?
You would think, yeah.
You know, so, you know, I did a quick math back at the napkin math, and I figured I run about a total effective tax rate of about 25% of my income is lost to taxes, whether that's federal, state, or local.
Right.
20%, it's definitely right at 20% for my federal taxes. But then my state and local add up to another 5% or so. It's a lot of fucking money. And I'm on the lower end. I don't know if I'm on the lower. I'm not on the lower end of the tax brackets. I don't know. We've had this conversation 1,000 times. Like, I think it's fucking nuts how much we are taxed and what we get for it.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think it's nuts. And I think, like, you know, like, we started a revolution over 10%. Now, I don't tithe. Now, if I was a good Christian person, I would be tithing on top of. And so I'm looking at giving up 35, 40% of my income.
You can write that off, I think.
Yeah, okay. Well, but so then it brings my effective tax rate from 24 to 23 and a quarter.
Right.
Still in the 30%, 40% of my tax, my income is going out with that doesn't go to me. And it's like this is where I get in trouble for my crazy libertarian philosophy stuff. It's like I can't get myself to go to the anarcho-capitalist. That's the most extreme version of libertarianism. There's no government, private roads, that kind of whole thing. I can understand the philosophy that gets somebody there. I can't get myself there. I can't. Everybody that's like a super hardcore libertarian that I either listen to or talk to about it, I understand why they get there, and I could make the argument to get myself there too. It's just like I can't get there. Not on the totality of government level. I can get there on the national level. You know, get rid of the private interstates only, or state funded if the state wants to fund it with state income. But we don't have a federal road system. Okay. You know, some private company wants to take over the interstates and we get rid of the interstate system as a federal thing, take off half my fucking income tax and make me pay tolls to drive on the interstate. Okay. I can get that's a libertarian logic I can get to. Now me driving here to school, that one I can't get to on making that a private toll road thing everywhere all the time. It's too damn complicated. But on the bulk side of it, I can get behind that. Like, it makes total sense to me. Privatize the federal road works. Privatize it. Fine with that. Stop taking my fucking money, and I'll pay a toll to go on the interstate. I don't think that's the worst thing. I don't think that makes sense to me. But again, the more I think about it, the more my structure of government. If we're gonna have this state, federal, state, local breakdown, the federal government should do as little as possible and take as little as possible. The state should do a decent amount and take a little bit more, but the local should do the bulk of it. And I would think, the more I think about it, the way to do it is you tax local only, and you have a municipal fee so the municipality of Knox County pays a fee to the state for communal good. Not the individuals from Knox County. The Knox County government pays that fee, obviously through the taxes collected off the individuals. But if I paid 24% to Knox County specifically, and they kicked up 2 or 3% of that to the state, or 2 or 3% of that to the federal government, 5% of that to the state, I would expect a fuck ton more out of Knox County for all the money spent. But I could get behind that premise-wise if I'm seeing my money spent.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And we just can't get I can't get there. I can't get to the fully anarcho side, but any of the other stuff doesn't make sense to me either. Like, I can't get to the state doing a lot more than the state, the broad version of the state, the federal state doing everything, because they suck at it. I don't believe that they're capable of doing a good job at anything on an individual level. Like, okay, military, yes, that's something that makes sense. That's something that they have the capacity and capability to do. I think they're failing miserably at it. I've been thinking about this forever. and I think we've talked about this before. Like, I think right now there are 3 aircraft carriers in production that total for like $1 trillion or $2
Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
in cost to get them built.
And some probably are going to be built for another 3 or 4 years or finished.
But there's
for
like
a while.
so like total currently getting spent on 3 aircraft carriers. I don't know that that's how war is ever going to work again. Like, I'm not like a super logical strategic tactician of any sorts. And I don't have super military knowledge or anything, but it seems apparent to me that post-Hitler, this total war thing is not a palatable thing to the civilized world in general. We're not going into another total war. There's no scenario that I could see where we're going to march into Moscow with 1 million soldiers from Europe and the United States walking in with a battalion of tanks and, you know, planes flying over and dropping bombs and fighter jets and a bunch of aircraft carriers launching stuff off of them from whatever water's close enough for the planes to get to wherever they go. That's not, I don't see that war happening.
Not to that level, but to take over land, it's going to take actual people occupying it.
Well, but
That's still going to require some level of like air superiority.
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, it's like, are we in the business as a nation of taking over land?
I mean, we essentially kind of did it in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Okay, are we as a nation of individuals? Is that so? That is the what's the word I'm looking for here?
Colonizers?
I mean, right? Is that what we're doing? Are we as a nation, not the government of our nation, but are we as the people of our nation? Are we into this empire? Is that what we want? Are we sold on the idea that this empire is why our economy works, to make us as wealthy as we are as people? Because I mean, that's the sales pitch: is that, you know, we need the empire to keep the luxury and, you know, keep the luxury and opulence that is us. That's how every other empire worked. Rome was a super crazy cool opulent place because the empire went out and took to keep the income, whether that income was cash dollars or, you know, food and slaves and whatever else it is that the empire took from the Germanic people and from Africa and from Gaul and all the stuff that they did. That's how the empire works. The empire works by taking from your neighbors until you run out of neighbors. And then the empire falls. And that's why that's where Rome fell. That's what that's what Britain did tenfold, you know, in the late 19th, early 20th century, or late 18th, early 19th century. Excuse me.
Yeah.
You know, the sun didn't set on the British Empire because they went to and took over India and you know, subjugated their people and took their tea and took their resources and did all those things, and all that money and wealth generated went back to the king. They came to the Western Hemisphere and took over most of the Western Hemisphere, and that's how the empire flourished until they ran out of places to go or ran out of people to control the people that they were taking over. Is that what we are as a nation? Are we the next big empire? I think we are, technically. I think we have been. We're acting like it. I don't know, like, strategic tactically how one would say, okay, we're done being the empire without a complete collapse of our society. That is a problem in this conversation. Don't get me wrong. Like, if we have like a revolution in politics and like the entire House and Senate get voted out and new people come in and we have a new president that's like, we're done with this, you know, we're done with this empire shit. We're not doing it anymore. I have no idea what would happen. It wouldn't be good.
Well, we've done it to an extent, to a small amount. I mean, I think there's enough war fatigue from the wars we've recently fought.
I mean, I think in tactile shooting and killing and taking, yes, we have backed off of that. But I think Trump is as imperialist as we've had in a modern president. He's just doing it with his stupid sanctions and tariff regime. He's not doing it with weapons. He's doing it with money.
To an extent, yeah.
And he's not doing a very good job, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to, you know, inflate the empire through other tactics than putting a guy there with a gun to tell you to give me your shit.
Right.
I mean, like, what's the like? How else do you explain the India thing?
The what?
The India thing. The India has been a great trading partner. They're like our third largest trading partner in the world. India is very protectionist in their own economy, and the fact that they import so much stuff from us, even with their protectionist policy, that we went over there and he dropped that stupid tariff on them because they kept buying Russian oil.
Right.
I mean, like, but why? Because the big bad Russia needs to get punished.
Incorrectly thought that they had the upper hand.
Right, but that was
basically going back into another trade war with China now.
Yeah, we are, and we finally started getting fucking product back. Geek Bar is back on the shelf for the first time in 6 months.
Really?
Yeah, and they're going to disappear again. Whatever. That's my life, and I'm living with it. But I'm doing my best, people. I'm doing my best, and the one saving grace is I did a competitor shop run this week, and I stopped in a couple of other shops, and they're all in the same place.
Yeah,
shooting the shit with them. Like, hey man, I was gonna pretend like I wasn't who I am, but I'm the guy. I own this other place over here. I'm just checking you guys out, see what your prices are at and stuff like that right now. I always buy something. I don't sit there and just chat them up and walk out.
Right.
But we're right in the pocket where everybody else is. Everybody else is complaining. Like, the first thing is like, man, I can't find those to save my life. Where'd you get those? It's like, we've had, we're on the last couple of these. We're running out, and we've tried to order them 10 times now. It's like everybody's in the same spot on it. It's super frustrating. But that's where that industry is, and part of that is the China shit, no doubt.
Right. A lot of the components, at the very least, are coming from there.
But I don't know, man. Like again, like I've used the word radicalized in the past, and in past episodes talked about it. It's like, when are we as a nation going to wake up to what is going on, and pretend like this is, and stop pretending like what's going on is okay? Specifically on Trump stuff, but in general, like some of this is pre-Trump. I'll still argue to death that Trump is a system of the rot of the U.S. system. He is a symptom. Excuse me. He's a symptom of the rot. He is not the cause. I will argue to death that he is a brilliant political tactician. And also a dumb one at the same time. He figures out, like, he does some stuff, and he plays some games. He does some 4D chess stuff for sure. But he also does some really stupid shit. So he's not a consistently brilliant tactician in politics, but he is a brilliant tactician. He found weak points in the Democratic Party. He found weak points in the Republican Party, and he has taken the machine apart. And I was hopeful that would be in a long-term positive way, and it might still be. He might be the straw that broke the camel's back that starts reorganizing this thing in a more respectful and logical manner. Don't know how much I believe it, but that could be that's the hope here, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, the hope is that, all right, Timmy came in, he popped the basketball. Let's go get a new basketball, and let's talk about how to play the game better so that we don't lose the basketball again.
I think he's definitely kind of caused some reimagining of party tactics.
How so, please? Because I don't feel that at all.
I mean, I wouldn't call it a good thing, but it's almost kind of like, well, politics has always been kind of ugly. I think he's kicked it up a little bit to a certain extent. I
mean, I agree. Yeah. I mean, like, he did, like It
seems like more and more people are okay with it. I think we are kind of blind and don't realize that, even, 40, 50 years ago, and even going back to our founding fathers,
sure.
They still, fought over certain things and argued,
and they weren't particularly nice about it.
Put out, slander against each other, right?
I mean, we have that wonderful musical about that Hamilton character,
right?
And how did he end?
Came down to a duel.
It's like it has been part of the whole thing, and there is some saving grace to it in that, or like I guess if you want to look at like the silver lining of the whole thing, it's like, this has to be ugly. It has to be. Because the ones that aren't ugly, the simple ones, the clean ones, they're dictatorships, they're monarchies, they're totalitarianism. The simple ones are where you don't feel like you're part of it. Like, you're not even allowed to pretend like you feel like you're a part of it. Just shut the fuck up and do what you're told. be what you're supposed to be. Go out there and do whatever toil you do on a daily basis and kick me up what you're supposed to kick up. Wait, that sounds a lot like what we are doing. But, go toil and, of your 100 bushels of grain, you owe me 2 of them, and just go over there. That's the clean system, because there is no thought in your head because you're the farmer in this little scenario. There's no thought in your head that you can do anything about it. Where ours has that. There is the thought. Like we have the universal capacity to feel like we can make a difference and we can change something in the system. And maybe that's a bad thing. I don't know. Because at the end of the day, we sit and toil and we kick up our bushels of grain, or, we go to the stocks or whatever the comparative is.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just, maybe it's the most geniusly diabolical thing ever created by our founding fathers, is that really it's like, we put this thing together to pretend, so you could pretend and feel like you're a part of it and you can make changes to it. And that's how we get away with being even worse than the king was.
I think it's still possible, but the odds are still probably just about as stacked against you. Even the founding times, for a while, in most of the states, you had to be a landowner to even go and vote. Right,
and it's there has been progress in that, and it was white landowning men, and then it was all men, and then it was women too. It's like, oh hey, we're getting better at this. But has it changed functionally? Really? Like, we've had some, like slavery, but like slavery, I don't know, slavery was done anyway. Like, had we not fought the, like, I don't know, like thought experiment had, because there's some history to the idea that the only reason the southern states joined the Continental Army to fight back against the British was to protect slavery. They had noted like the Virginia down, they didn't want anything to do with the New Yorks and the Connecticut's and stuff like that. They didn't like anything about them. They didn't like their systems and their whatevers and this, that, and the other. But the sales pitch was, hey, you do this, and you get to make your own decision as a state with the format that we're setting up about how you deal with that issue.
I hadn't really heard much about that.
And so if you get in, so if you consider that as a thought process at the time in the 1770 era, and the grandchildren of those people are the ones in the 1870 era when the Civil War starts, say, hey, my grandpa fought for you guys so that we could keep this thing. And now you're trying to take that. Now you are trying to take that away from us. The only reason we helped you fight that war was so that we could keep doing what we want to do.
I don't think colonies were that divided at that time.
I don't know. This is it's a
because that was still kind of pre-formation of our nation, basically.
Right, but if you're South Carolina, and if you're the landed gentry, for lack of a better word, in the Carolinas in the 1770s, you've got your plantation and you're doing your thing and you're making good money. Like what, T-tax or not, I don't know if you're like, I don't really think that the South was really in as much of a fuss over some of the shit that was going on that the New England set, like that the Boston and the New York set were. And I believe my understanding of it is that the sales pitch from, the John Hancocks and stuff like that to the Southern leadership that was part of the Continental Congress and stuff like that was, hey, we want to do this thing where we're our own states. And again, in the international term of state, not in what we think of as states because we grew up in this thing. You do what you want. We do what we want. We just get those fucking, we get those people across the Atlantic out of our business. That's the sales pitch, I believe, that was taken to the southern states to get them in it. Because at that point, in during revolutionary times, I'm pretty sure that was when some of the slavery stuff was starting to break down inside the British Empire already. Because we were the last to end slavery by a long shot.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because I think the story was that there was a very loose confederation of the South, as we know it today, with the Caribbean, of basically a slave empire. That it was a conglomeration of individual mini nations, states like we are talking about right now. That conglomeration with like Haiti and Cuba and Puerto Rico and all those where all the sugar plantations were.
Right.
That there was a conglomeration of. The idea was maybe that would be its own break off in the same kind of time frame. I don't know. I need to get back in. I need to get deeper. I'm only a little bit into that whole fucking thing. It's a history of the United States it's a political history of the United States. It's interesting. It's weird. I don't know. I don't know how that's been a big part that I've been on recently. And it kind of it was one of the reference in that 1619 project thing or whatever, where it's not as simple as like everything that is today is because of slavery kind of stuff, but it is kind of the same thing because there were a lot of decisions made on the political front from the Southern United States and Caribbean era, people in power that were based on making sure this thing continued, or that thing continued, so that slavery continued.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of political jockeying between this, that, and the other on who was aligning with who as things were shuffling out as the, British Empire was starting to break up in the Western Hemisphere and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it. I had a cool book that was called A People's History of the United States. It was written less so where they actually found, people's like diaries and whatnot. So
right.
It was more of what was actually going on the ground versus kind of what you were taught from like the state houses of what was going on in American history.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but again, it goes back to that same thing I've said it like a gajillion times. Like, I appreciate the premise 1,000% of education is a public good. It is a public good. Educating our kids is a public good. It is good for me, whether I have kids or not, that other people's kids are getting educated. But if it's a public good and the public controls it, that means the state controls it. And if the state controls it, they have interest in adjusting some of the specifics to their own ends. And that's the difference in the people's history versus what we were taught in school. That's the difference in what we were taught in school and this whole thing about the Caribbean slave empire thing that I've been listening to this book about.
Yeah.
That's like, there's a lot other, like, there's, I mean, again, like, we've whitewashed, and not in the racial term, but we've whitewashed so much of our history just for patriotism. And it's like, I don't know. That's one thing I like about the Germans is like, they own the fact that we were fucking assholes. Like, we were the bad guys.
Right.
And they say it out loud. Now, I don't necessarily agree that that their restrictions on freedom of speech as a result of that are the correct way to correct it. But I do appreciate the fact that them as a nation, they say, hey, we were the dicks here. Our bad. We own that.
We're trying to learn from it.
Like, could you imagine a place where the United States started owning our dickheadishness historically?
We have a little bit. I mean, every once in a while you'll hear of, we're apologizing to this group for something we did 150 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, but like the Germans did it like immediate. Well, God, how long was it? God, that was that long. It was 50 fucking years post World War II before the fall of the Soviet Union. 60 years.
Yeah. Berlin Wall fell in 89.
Yeah, when they came back to being an independent nation. So yeah, it was a couple generations past before they started apologizing for it publicly. Partially because that's the first time they had the opportunity to. But I don't know. I mean, that's just it. Like, we don't have that part in our history, and maybe that's part of it too. Like, we don't have that part in our history where we got conquered and taken and returned and back and forth. And so we've never had to apologize for anything because we've always been kind of on, like, we've more or less been on top of the game since we existed.
Yeah.
Or at least we were irrelevant to the game, and then we were more or less irrelevant to the game. I mean, we did do the unthinkable and win a war against the Empire. But after that, we were kind of irrelevant for 100 years.
Well, mostly up until really like the
First
early
World War.
1900s. Yeah.
We were more or less irrelevant on the world stage, and then World War I, and then World War II, and post World War II, like we came out 10,000% on top.
Yeah.
And that was that was more about geographical positioning than it was about anything we actually did.
Right. We didn't.
Because again,
we had next to nothing that got destroyed
in the
during
part
the
of
war.
history that we were taught in school versus the reality is we knew, our great grandparents didn't know essentially, but we knew as a nation that the Holocaust was happening before we got involved.
Oh, well, it was publicized. There was some
It wasn't
that knew. I've heard
publicized,
mixed things on it.
But our military knew, our military leadership, Eisenhower knew, not Eisenhower, excuse me, Roosevelt knew. Who was the president when we started?
Roosevelt.
When we entered?
Yeah.
Who was his predecessor?
Truman.
No, that was after.
Yes, Truman was after FDR. FDR
No, I'm sorry.
died while the war was going on.
Right. Who was before FDR?
Hoover, maybe?
Anyway, whatever. We knew about the Holocaust prior to entering the war. We were selling shit. We were selling arms and shit to Germany for a good section of the war.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, we were.
Maybe. I thought they were running like a big, huge embargo or whatever after the First World War.
There was. Oh, actually, that's a good point. That was the. Which I would argue is the cause of the Second
World War. The Treaty of Versailles.
Yeah, the Treaty of Versailles, I believe, was the cause of World War II, but that's a separate issue. But I do believe we had some economic interest in Germany after Hitler had taken over. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Whatever.
I'm sure we had some business ties. I'm sure we had some American companies that were there and some German companies that were here, vice versa, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. We don't. Lost our train of thought on that. Other than, I don't know that we've ever really been the good guys, and we were always taught that we were the good guys.
Yeah.
I can't think we just what Columbus Day was this past Monday, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Indigenous Peoples Day or whatever. I still think this might be a Streisand effect thing. I don't know. I might be just making this up, but I swear to God, many years ago when Neil deGrasse Tyson was on Rogan, he was talking on Rogan about how he believes that Columbus rediscovering the Western Hemisphere was one of the greatest, one of the most important moments in human history.
Yeah.
And it's important to parse words here, and that human history, as far as it had brought back together, it brought back together the human existence in a way that hadn't existed in however many thousand years since the Ice Age and the Land Bridge, and which that's another one that we taught that we learned, and that's a lie too. There were Polynesians in South America well before and throughout.
What about Polynesians?
Do what?
I don't know about Polynesians.
Yeah, Hawaiians, like whatever people. The
right, but I don't know if they made it as far as South America.
They absolutely did. There is, I can't remember exactly which island is on. There on the island of on one of the Hawaiian islands, there is a plant that is native to South America that's been on the Hawaiian island for so long that it is considered native to Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
But like mathematically, it's pre-Columbus by a long time,
right?
And that the only logical way.
So they were trading somehow.
Not trading per se, but at least that some Polynesian people had gotten on their canoes and gotten all the way to South America and picked up some stuff and then started going back. Whether they met and interacted with other humans in the Americas is irrelevant, but they got there. Or the aliens picked them up in their spaceships and moved them back forth. Who knows? I don't know. I'm trying to put some levity back into this, but like again, we were taught that the native Western Hemisphere people came across that land bridge, which is partially true. But we were taught it was Ice Age stuff because it froze over, which is not true. It's Ice Age stuff because it froze over and the sea levels dropped.
Right.
That's a new discovery. Okay, fair enough. But weird. I don't know.
They're still working on the timeline of when.
Do you know why the Minnesota football team is called the Vikings?
No.
Is because they discovered very near Minneapolis there were Viking artifacts found.
No, I didn't realize.
Pre-Columbian Northern European peoples have been all the way up the Great Lakes and into Minnesota.
I knew they found some up in like New York, like Nova Scotia.
Yeah, like it is now a proven fact. But I mean, the Vikings became a football team in like the 70s. But that little part of like kind of mythological Minnesota history had been a thing for decades. But there are actual factual dated functional Viking artifacts in Minnesota, which was 900s, 9th, 10th, 11th century at the latest.
Possibly
but
not.
Columbus gets all the credit, that fucking dickhead. All right, Indigenous People Day. Sure.
He never even made it to America.
Well,
I think he made it like the Bahamas, I think is what they've estimated.
America in our terms. Like he did on his second voyage, he actually got into Florida and Georgia.
Yeah.
Did he not?
Mm-mm.
I thought when he came back,
He only came to the Caribbean. Never landed on the shores.
Oh, well, fuck that guy.
Of what we think of America.
Let's see what. Well, the other one is like, so where's the word America come from?
Amerigo Vespucci, I believe.
Right, but I don't know anything. I like right now as we're speaking, other than he was one of the explorers in the era. I don't know anything about that guy's exploits.
Yeah. Another sea traveler.
Right, and like, because apparently, like, because like I know that, but like, I mean, I know like, at least I know stories of Columbus, and that like part of it was like a debt issue. Like he was trying to, he owed the fucking because he
was Portuguese, but got funded by the Spanish.
I thought he was Italian.
Maybe he was Italian. Okay, I think he's Italian, but got funded by.
I don't think it was funded by. I think he owed money to, and as a way to pay off his debt,
like, I'll go find some gold.
Right, he was going to go do this thing. Right,
So I think he ended up bringing back gold.
Right,
and the other stuff, slaves and.
What I'm saying, like whatever. Okay, I don't know, but there are some partial stories that I remember from being taught about Columbus.
Yeah.
Which, there's a number of Columbias. Columbus, Ohio, we talked about earlier tonight. District of Columbia, obviously. Columbia, Missouri. There's Columbias all over. Like, there's a bunch of references to him throughout our lives. But the one that we're named as a nation and as two different continents have his name on it, I don't know shit about his exploits. I don't know anything about, like, other than America is named after Amerigo Vespucci. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about this person?
No.
I find that kind of fascinating. That the Columbus got a day. The other guy got continents. And we know some about the guy with the day, but we don't know anything about the guy with continents. History's a lie. No, it's not. It's a propaganda tool in school.
Yeah, there's just a lot to it. I mean, I think that's one thing we kind of struggle with in trying to teach history. I mean, I can kind of empathize with school systems and trying to figure out what to teach when there is a wide breadth of history. It's easy to skip over certain things.
Sure. But I don't know. I think it's obliged to.
And hell, our history doesn't even go back that far. I mean, imagine living in Europe and trying to go back and kind of teach the history of your native land.
I love the fact about how, like, this is one of those things I think about a lot because I like English history. I do, and like I watch a lot of English history. There's a show called Time Team. I watch the show all the time. Like, the idea of living in Britain seems really cool to me because apparently you could just dig a hole anywhere in that whole fucking country, and you're gonna find Roman shit. You're gonna find Anglo-Saxon shit. You're gonna find Viking shit.
Right.
You're gonna find something. Dig a hole. You're gonna find something.
Probably, yeah.
That you'll find Neolithic shit. You find shit forever in that fucking, like, you dig anywhere, you're gonna find something. But I also find it kind of fascinating that as proud of a people as the English are, how much they hate the French, that they're really French. They're all French. They're either French or Scandinavian. William the Conqueror,
Was French, yeah.
and he took over that whole country. Prior to that, so you had the Anglo-Saxons, which were there, and then you had the Normans, which are French, and actually a lot of the Normans are actually Scandinavian because Roloff, I can't remember his full title or whatever, but Roloff was a Norwegian Viking who had come down when the Vikings raided Paris and ended up staying and marrying some princess and the whole big mess and ended up taking over Normandy. And so William the Conqueror is theoretically, probably technically, a great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchild of Rollo of Norwegian descent. And so, like, how, like, uniquely specific the English heritage that they like to pride themselves on is either French or Danish, because the Dane word usually covers all of Scandinavia.
Yeah.
I always kind of find that kind of hilarious in hindsight. Or Roman.
Which had the Celts over there for a while before that.
Yeah. But they're all, England at large is the long version of what the United States is. There are no native peoples. There are people that were here before, but there are no native people. I guess you get technically down to it, there are no native people except for sub-Saharan Africa somewhere. They were the first kind of subset of the species, I guess, if you get technical about it. But in the shorter term of what we call human beings, they're all French. At least the English are all actually French Norwegians. Like the more every time I watch these history shows, and it's like, oh, okay, I get it. Or Italian. There's plenty of Roman influence there too.
True.
Well, at least up to Scotland. Me and my Scottish brothers we're true super white from the north,
right?
People
painted ourselves blue and shit,
and did a bunch of jungle meth and went berserk. So anyway, that was a random deep dive into how much I don't understand actual history because we get taught an abbreviated version. That'll be my nice phrase for it.
Yeah.
That, and we fought a revolution over 7 to 10% taxes, and we're sitting here anywhere between 20 and 50%, depending on who you are.
It wasn't solely over taxes. I mean, that was one of the major points, but it was more of the whole taxation without representation.
Look,
like,
at
if
the
you're
end
going
of
to
the
tax
day,
us, at least give us some representation.
Fuck representation. At the end of the day, give me something for it. Period. That's where I'm at. That's on the modern right now. Me and you talking in this room term. On my version is like I don't see the value in what I'm paying, and I know I'm a drop in the bucket in the game.
Right.
We're buying $1 trillion fucking aircraft carriers for a war that will never come, because the war that the aircraft carriers are there for are wars that we're not going to get in because they don't exist anymore. Where we should be spending that in the fucking digital space and stuff like that, and then we're fucking killing ourselves with fuck. Don't get me on the. Hey, we don't. Apparently, we're going to finish every episode from now on some sort of AI issue. Because ChatGPT has opened it up to you can build your own girlfriend in full porn on ChatGPT now.
Yeah, I saw Sam Altman had some quote on it recently. I think I told you
the libertarian in me says yes, let adults be adults.
I think I told you a story I read recently that was something crazy, like 1 in 5 teenagers have an online girlfriend, basically. Yeah, I think we may have started talking about that last week.
I've been trying to figure out how to bridge that subject with my kids. Like, is everybody you talk to or chat with online, do you know that they're real people?
Yeah.
It's the only way I can think of bridging that conversation. It's like do you know that actual person? Nah, and I mean, here's the fucking... The one that scares me is this one that sits down here and plays VR in the background. You guys hear him yelling at whatever. That's the one that scares me, because it's very possible that person that he's arguing with in the chat, in the live vocal chat, on whatever game he's playing is not a real person.
Think so?
I think it's good enough to. I mean, I feel like I'm top 10% on people that can pick out a VR phone call, but I've gotten caught a couple times recently. Hey, how you doing today? Oh, I'm okay. What can I help you with? Hey, I'm blah 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 from whatever. It's like, God damn it, you fucking got me. You know, but like usually, like there's tells that I've picked up on, and it's like usually I'm pretty good at catching them, but they're getting better and better and better,
Right.
and faster. And that's the thing. It's the faster. It's the response time is the thing. Oh, hey, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. What was the name of the company you're calling to represent? Blah 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 blah. Where it used to be, you know, you'd ask them a question and it would be, and then they would say something.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay. You're fake now because it takes you that long to respond to a simple question. But now it's like, oh, I'm sorry. What company are you with? Oh, my name's Jane. I'm with blah 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 blah. It's like, oh, okay. It's pretty close. I don't know.
Tell me a joke, Jane.
Like there's there's something that's kind of tickling there. And then the other thing too just to close on this one, the missus got her ID updated. She's been out of the system for a while. It's a whole big thing, whatever. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we're getting a bunch of unsolicited stuff. Which means one of two things. Either the state of Tennessee is selling data on the open market, or it's just public access.
It's just public access.
Anybody can get to it.
Yeah. And I think much more so the latter.
And right, which is stupid. What are we doing? Stop it. If you're gonna, if I have to fucking deal with telemarketers because they go to the state of Tennessee archives and take it, charge them for that shit. Make some money off it. Do that in lieu of taxing my ass.
Well, at least put every business and people's phone numbers in the yellow pages.
That was a marketing company, but okay.
I was actually reading some old.
I got a yellow pages this week.
Really?
Yeah, I threw it away. It's in the trash can right there.
I can't believe they still.
It's this big. It's only like a half inch, maybe 3/4 inch phones. It's not the big
yellow pages.
2-inch one. But that whole the phone book that we had as kids,
right?
That was a money making machine. That was a marketing. That's a billboard.
Right. So I had all these like AA whatever and AAA just so they were the first listing on that.
But not even that. It's just that was that thing. The whole premise. The people that the printing of that book. The people that worked there, that created the book and did all those kind of things. That was a marketing machine. They made their money by, yes, public listing of getting the white pages for human beings' phone numbers. But they made their money by, okay, we list every business, but then we sell ad space, we sell highlights, we sell bolds, we sell, your listing's going to be bigger than the listing next to you.
Right.
That was a marketing machine for the telephone company. And not only that, it was a marketing thing for telephones, period. Bell Telephone Company is who created them in the first place. They created them to make people more comfortable using the phone. They were the phone book was made to sell phones and phone service, and then the phone book was continued to be made to pay for itself and make money as a marketing tool. Like a newspaper makes money off of selling ads in their newspaper. Like Metropulse would be a comparative. Like the phone book is Metropulse. When Metropulse existed, it made its money by advertisers putting ads into it. That's why it was free.
It could be also in part due to the switchboard operators. They were tired of like connecting you, and they're like, "Why don't you look up the number and call it yourself.
It also made operations cheaper
Right.
for the company.
Yeah. I was reading some
But
older.
I'm sorry, but that was a genius business function for the telephone companies. Is why the phone book existed.
Okay, man, I never thought of it that way.
It was always that, always.
No, I thought it was interesting. I was reading some older news articles, even going back to like the 30s and 40s, where a story was about somebody, but like it said the name and then like it gave their address. And I was like, that's weird. I was like, they used to like, put this person, just got married, or this person about this guy. Like some of them about there was like an accident and like a couple people that got hurt. But then it listed like their address after their name, and I was like, that's weird.
Okay. That is weird. Yeah. Like I could see like nowadays, like an event happened at a certain block.
Right.
Is usually in the story, but those kind of details are usually left out. Yeah. Put my home address on. I don't like that. That's kind of wonky. All right, man. You ready to get weird? Which button is it? Do you remember which button? Yeah, it's that one. And I hit it twice and I screwed it up. I can't not screw up the Let's Get Weird. All right, here we go. One more time. Let's get weird.
Let's see here. Well, got a football-related one. Big 12 fines Kansas $25,000 for Lance Leopold's statement that a knife was thrown at Texas Tech game.
He said that it would happen, and they fined the team?
Let's see here. Conference said the allegation was inaccurate, and Leopold's statement after the 42-17 loss of the Red Raiders were disparaging. Coach Leopold's comments questioned the integrity and professionalism of both the conference and a member institution. Big 12 commissioner, blah, 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 said in a statement.
Hey, they can fine whatever they want. They're a private industry.
Both actions warranted a financial penalty. The Big 12 Conference prioritizes integrity and will have no further comment on this matter.
Huh. I'm confused and mildly fascinated.
Speaking about Tech fans' tradition of throwing tortillas onto the field, Leopold said a pocket knife was also thrown in the third quarter of the game. I mean, it's ridiculous, he said in his post-game press conference. I mean, it's supposed to be for safety and things like that. It's a culture that's been accepted to a point, and it hasn't changed, and eventually someone is going to be seriously hurt.
To be fair, if you got a pocket full of tortilla shells, and you happen to have your pocket knife in there, and it ends up in the tortilla that you're throwing,
who's got pocket tacos in there?
I'm just saying. I mean, that would be, that's my innocent explanation is I had a pocket full of tortilla. I mean, okay, back up a second. The fact that a person snuck into a football stadium with a knife is its own issue. But the likelihood that somebody threw their pocket knife, like they're going to hurt somebody? I mean, that's the insinuation? That they threw a pocket knife out of the stands at the bench, hoping to hit a player and cut him?
It's possible, yeah.
I mean,
it's some big pocket knives.
It's possible, but it seems unlikely that you felt like that was, like that even in a drunken... you know what? You're right. In a drunken collegiate state, I could think I could see that might make sense in your head as a hammered collegiate kid at a football game. But I'm going to guess as a hammered collegiate kid at a football game.
I got an empty beer cup. I got my
with
pocket knife.
With a pocket full of tortilla shells, and he's throwing his tortillas onto the field. And inside the pocket full of tortillas, he happened to continue to grab his knife that was in there as well and throw it at the same time. Seems the more likely explanation if it actually happened, where probably the more likely was that some sideline medical assistant who had a pocket knife because that's part of their toolkit maybe happened to drop it and a tortilla shell was in the near vicinity and the kids saw it and said, hey, they threw a pocket knife at us. Seems like the more probable if the pocket knife even existed in the first place.
I'm not sure how it got into his
I love the idea of throwing tortilla shells on the field. I like it. Don't stop. Keep that up. That's my takeaway from this. I think it's fun. Nobody's going to get hurt from a tortilla shell flying. And it sounds like a good time. And I mean really, what damage are we talking about here? Some poor guy has to go out there and sweep them all up.
Yeah, if they got seagulls that could kill the birds.
Yeah. or whatever birds come and shit all over the field, and the poor grounds crew has to clean up all that kind of stuff.
Or increase rats coming in.
Or it's just wasted food. Starving kids in Africa, motherfucker.
Yeah, that too.
You got one more for us? Give me one more. Come on.
All right. Naked bike riders demonstrate against federal troops in quintessentially Portland protest. Protesters rallying against...
You love the nudists, man. Love them. Any excuse to bring nudity into the show.
Yeah. That was the only other interesting story.
Sam over here talking just wants to see naked. I like it. I'm good with it. Protest however you feel like protesting. I'm not opposing it.
See here, crowds that have gathered daily and nightly outside the immigration facility in Oregon's largest city in recent days have embraced the absurd, donning inflatable frog, unicorn, axolotl, and banana costumes as they face off with federal law enforcement, who often deploy tear gas and pepper balls.
I mean, how much of an authority and asshole do you look like if you just beat the shit out of a naked guy wearing an axolotl hat?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. I like it. Way to go, Portland. Get after it.
Keep it weird.
I mean, get me out of here. Get me out of this craziness. We've got to stop. We got to stop this. This is getting it's too much. How do we unring this bell? Like, how do we take this back? I don't not take it back, because back is not good either. How do we move forward as a society past this? Because it just doesn't make any sense anymore. Like, it's not making sense. Like, I can agree with the premise of, like, there's some legality of you want to come to this country, you got to come to this country with some rules. And if you come to this country when you're not supposed to be here, we can kick you out. Okay, like, I can get behind that argument. But, like, this isn't right. This doesn't make any sense. We're going to fucking, zip line out of a fucking Blackhawk onto the top of your apartment building and drag you and some naked kid out with his fucking zip ties, with his hands behind his back, of like a 7-year-old or whatever it was that happened in Chicago last week.
I don't think I heard about that.
And that's the appropriate way to fix this problem?
I want to say there was an Illinois judge that barred ICE from using, like, pepper balls and other things. I think there was some reporters that got like shot, basically, with pepper balls. And
ICE is going to abide by whatever Illinois judge says?
Possibly.
I mean, like, I don't know. I'm not a professional plumber by any means, but for the immigration issue, I think you think of it like a plumber. You turn the fucking water off first, and then you start patching the leaks. And I feel like we're trying to patch leaks. I feel like
it just feels like a numbers game, just so the state or whoever can say, like, hey, we've gotten out this many immigrants. That's why I think they've gotten to the point where it's just anybody and everybody they can find.
Right, I agree, but it doesn't, like how many got in at the same time period?
Right.
Like, there's no conversation about that. It's like, are our borders secure right now? Are there people sneaking in this country right now as we speak? Are the numbers that we're kicking out exceeding the numbers that are coming in?
Right.
Like, again, I'm for this one particularly, I'm going to make the plumber argument. Stop the leak, or stop the flow, and then start worrying about patching the holes.
I've been said many times. Most people that I think that are considered like illegal are people that just overstate their visas. They've come in legally.
Okay,
but it's a much smaller amount of people that actually are
agreed
running across the border.
Figure out how to stop that leak. Like, figure out that solution. Because yes, I agree. Our amnesty policy, our H-1B is fucking gross. The more I've learned about H-1B, the more pissed off I get. Like, that's the one that fucking drives me crazy. More than asylum, more than people sneaking across the border. The H-1B is nasty. Because that basically gives the company that sponsored you to come here control over you. Because you're a good coder, or whatever it is.
Right.
Which, again, on the stealing jobs thing, well, why does Meta want you to come here from India or, Argentina or whatever?
Because we don't have as much of a high-tech
right.
base.
But the ones that we do have can't get jobs. Well, because they can't get jobs because they want a fucking salary for their jobs, because I can import this guy from over here and pay him less, and if he fucks up, I can send him home.
Right.
Anyway, sorry. It got dark there at the end. Anyway, last call, buddy. Anything else? Anything we missed?
Nah, that's it.
Minnesota upsets Nebraska. Congratulations, everybody. I think Louisville also upset Miami tonight, so it's been an upset night in college football. My Brewers suck. They got swept by the LA Dodgers. I believe it is time for... There will be no baseball in 2027. That's my prediction right now. There will be a walkout. I don't remember what it is. Anyway, no baseball in 2027 because the Dodgers swept my Brewers. I'll explain to Sam off air. I might remember and explain to you guys next week. Anyway, we're Almost Agreement. AlmostAgreement@gmail.com. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Go to the website, AlmostAgreement.com. Share what's going on in there. Go to your favorite podcast provider. Like, friend, share, follow, text your friends. Do what you can do to support the show because we're having a good time. We hope that you learned a few things here. And I hope I don't get in trouble with Mr. Trump because he hates people that think out loud like me. Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.